I call myself a huge believer of dreaming big and keeping your intention very straight, very honest.
What were some of those values that you grew up with, okay, which have become the company that you are today?
This is the best question I've come across. Ajoka told me that you are an extremely emotional person. So, be careful. So I'm very emotional about every flight I do, every client I have.
What's changed for aviation, and especially in the space of charters and private jets?
We should define at least general aviation pre-COVID and post-COVID era. Before COVID, we would go and tell these business leaders that listen, charter is not expensive. It is necessity. What COVID taught us, one, relationship is very important. Number two, your health is very important. So number three, don't sit on the money. Utilize this money.
What's really happening and what more can be done in this space?
I want to take it globally. I want to put more aircraft on this platform. I want to make charter very affordable.
The most beautiful airport that you have landed in?
Ranthambore, my favorite.
Have you ever thought about owning your own jet, flying around the world, jet setting, traveling to exotic destinations, and having lots of fun along the way? Today's podcast, Let's Chat with GB, very, very special guest, an old friend, Santosh Sharma, someone who is going out and crushing the world of aviation. And this is one conversation you really want to tune in for. Santosh, welcome to Let's Chat with GB.
Thank you, Gaurav. It's been a pleasure here.
So for those who don't know you, how would you go and define yourself? How do you introduce yourself to the world?
Well, I was thinking in quite a while, as in from where should I start my introduction? But I call myself a huge believer of dreaming big and keeping your intention very straight, very honest, and I guess if there's one word which people love nowadays, it's called manifestation, and I think God has been very kind to me and my family that He has blessed us with everything that we wanted ever.
Awesome.
And coming from a small place called Jamshedpur, I ask many people, "Do you know Jamshedpur?" So sometimes people say, "What's that?" So I say Jamshedpur is a place from where the Tatas are.
Right.
And from there to this, my journey from Jamshedpur, brought up in 1976 to now in Delhi.
Yeah.
I believe it's when I look back, I have a huge smile on my face that whatever I have done and whatever I'm doing,
Right.
I can at least say very proudly that I myself and of course my parents, my family would be extremely proud of me.
I may love how you started out. You said small town boy,
Yeah.
from Jamshedpur. Okay, today crushing the world of aviation. Working with and flying with some of the best of the best in the world and all of that as well.
Right.
I loved what you spoke about manifestation. I love how you spoke about family and values. Things that are just so important in the
Right.
world today. And I'm sure
Right.
all of that's going to come up in our conversation today.
True.
Book My Jet, 4C Aviation, your parent company. I mean, such good things happening over there. And been watching your progress and how you've been
Right.
developing, and of course the entire 10x thing
Thank
that's
you.
been happening in your world. So it's going to be awesome, and we're going to bring all of that to the podcast today.
Sure.
So tell me, growing up, and of course trust and authenticity is such an important part of the aviation business and the charter business that you're actually part of.
Right.
What were some of those values that you grew up with, okay, which have become the company that you are today? So what are some of those childhood values and upbringings and incidents from your
I
early life?
love this question. I guess possible this is the best question I've come across ever in any of my podcasts or any interview for that matter. My parents taught me two things very clearly, right? First of all, don't hurt anybody, right? Intentionally, unintentionally, doesn't matter, but don't hurt anybody. And when I was starting a business, somebody told me, Santosh, you are an extremely, in fact, Ajoka told me that you are an extremely emotional person.
Yeah.
So, be careful. So I'm very emotional about every flight I do, every client I have, and I have absolutely no regret about it, right? Because in business, I think quotient is very important,
Sure.
right? Every time I do a flight, whether the flight has got any profit margin or doesn't matter,
Right.
I'm very happy. A lot of my clients come back and they have sent me messages from good people who are the chairman, who are the managing directors,
Right.
who are the owner's son. They have sent me a message saying that, the kind of caring thing that you do for a flight is
Right.
mind-boggling. Even if you ask me 20%, 30% more amount of money, I'll pay for that.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest prize that a biggest compliment that I would have received from anybody, right? So I'm very emotionally connected to my clients, right? I know their birthdays. I know what is the liking, what is disliking. I know
Understood.
how does it feel when the flight get delayed.
Right.
So I have no problem in being very transparent to them. And at the end of the day, like yesterday, I was sitting with a client and I told them, client means potential. We have not got any business from them.
Right.
So I said, even if you don't give me business, I will not stop meeting you. So, I mean, just because you don't give me business doesn't mean that I'll not come and meet you and not come and say hi and not have coffee with you.
Right.
That's two different things.
Yeah.
Last but not the least, I think business is always done by relationship. 100%. It's not a product, it's not a services.
Right.
So that's what unintentionally my parents have taught me. So I think these three things are something which my parents have given me knowingly, unknowingly. So yeah.
No, I truly wish that more companies would come in with those values. Somehow it's very unfortunate today where profit has started superseding everything else.
True.
And I think the realization really has to be the money will come. Just go out there and deliver a great customer experience. Go out there and be someone who genuinely cares, like not the fake caring and the superficial stuff, like you said, who genuinely cares. And I think stories that I've heard about you and the organization, from people who've done business with you, like Santosh and Ajoka, go above and beyond. And I think that's what the world truly needs. So, and of course, we're going to talk a lot about that in due course.
Yeah.
So I love it. Growing up in Jamshedpur, values that really, matter to you. And then you decide to make your way to Bombay. You spent a few years there. What was happening in Bombay on the graduation side?
So, BA Economics. And I had the best time of my life was in Bombay. I had my best of my friends in Bombay. I learned so much. In fact, I was telling my office colleagues yesterday that you must spend time in Mumbai, at least for a month. You know what work culture, how to earn money. Bombay teaches us so much. So I started in Bombay. I was doing my classes, and in the evening, I would sell Tropicana juices on the roads.
No way.
I would sell Actu popcorn in the Kirana stores. I would sell those keychains, lighters, and all the stuff outside liquor shops. And I would get some decent amount of money. Wow. And I would come back in the early morning back home, because in the night, the late night, the local train would stop. So I would come back early in the morning back home. My paying guest has to pay 500 rupees in that room in a small place in Bombay, Andheri East. And in the morning, I'll go back to the college. So this went for a pretty long time. But then I was not complaining, because people call it struggle. I thought it was a great learning thing for me. So going from Jamshedpur, where you don't know how to talk, you don't know how to communicate with people, don't know how to interact. Wow. I think these lessons, these 3 jobs initially, they taught me big time.
So when you say that you were actually, one of the first salespeople in the aviation industry, your entry into sales actually started by what you just mentioned, selling Tropicana juice and selling cigarettes and lighters and knickknacks on local trains and
liquor shops.
Liquor shops and in public spaces in Mumbai. Wow.
Yeah.
That is insane.
That is actually, today when I look back, I think, but that taught me.
Of course.
That taught me. Standing outside a departmental store and giving the demo of how to cut those vegetables and fruits. And I was working with the Tele Shopping Network also. Right. So we would sleep for 2 hours in that departmental store, and then again the shop opens, and again we'll stand out and we'll give the demo to people. So I'm a BA Economics gold medalist from National College, being a topper from there. Got a chance to go to US for my masters, but then all thanks to 9/11 could not go. Right. And that's how I landed up in Delhi for my masters.
Okay. And then how did the entry into the aviation business actually start? So I'd love to know that aspect as well.
Again, I don't know why, but I think in my life, everything happened by accident, nothing planned. So I was working as a consultant here in Delhi in a company, and MBD Radisson was my client.
Okay.
So there, the director of sales and marketing, Mr. Joydeep Chakravarti, was working. So we became very good friends. Right. While I was working for a consulting, I didn't know that Joydeep has joined an aviation company. Right. So I went to Taj Palace Hotel one day and suddenly jaldi bumped into me. He said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "This company is launching today, so I'm a part of that company as a CMO." I said, "Wow." So I have also come for the same launch. Somebody's invited me. Saw the launch. I could not understand a bit of what this company is all about, fractional ownership and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But after the inauguration, after the launch, Joydeep asked me, "Would like to join?" I said, "Tell me the salary." So next time I met up with the managing director in Nizamuddin office. There was no interview. He just gave me a post-it, my designation, my salary, and he asked me what's the date of joining. That was 6th of August. I said 5th September.
This is late 1990s?
This is 2005.
2005. Okay,
yeah,
wow.
2005. Okay. So that's how 2005, 5th September, I was in Club One Air. Yep. It's a Nizamuddin-based company. As a first Indian company, I would call it a first professional charter company. Right. Wonderful fleet they still have, right. And Manav Singh, the ex-managing director, was a wonderful human being. Is a wonderful human being. I still take him as one of my gurus. Guys, I think if I have to put, let's see, if I have to put 10 people who have learned, or 10 things rather, I think 8 things I've learned from him. Everything that today I am, possibly, I think 80% I owe it to him. Apart from my family and my.
I love it.
Yeah.
So in fact, I used to hear a lot of Club 1A in the day, because I think Manav was a very keen golfer.
Yes.
His father was at the club a lot.
That's right.
So I think we used to call him Mukhi uncle. Was
Yes.
his father. And his father and my father were, dear friends, and they used to end up, spending some time together.
True.
So I used to keep, hearing about him. Of course, I used to keep seeing Manav at the club, as
Club
well.
1A, yeah.
And but yeah, I think you're right. They were, the OGs in the space for sure.
He had a great idea. I mean, he was full of ideas. And there's a nice thing in my company that time, that anybody who will come and tell me, or I would tell people that if you, one point in time, or if a day that if I come to the office and not keeping well, go and meet Manav for 10 seconds. We'll find he was full of energy. Somehow he had that kind of an aura that, I worked very closely with him.
Right.
So we launched Mumbai office, South office.
Nice.
When I joined, we only had 1 aircraft. When I left in 2009, we had 8 aircraft.
Yeah.
We had more than 280 clients, almost 300 clients plus.
Okay.
It was a big number that time, right? We had offices across India. We had people. It grew fantastically. Unfortunately, the exit was not good for me. Not good for me. It was not good, rather. It was like in a bitter taste.
Right.
But I think that also was bound to happen.
Yeah.
Had it not happened, Book My Jet would not have been there. Fourth Station would not have been there. So I think
everything happens for a reason.
For a reason.
So 2005 and today 25, 26. So now we're talking about 20, 21 years down the line. What's really changed in the market? What's changed for aviation, and especially in the space of charters and private jets? What's really changed in this space over the course of those years? Yeah.
Lots. I guess I think we should define at least general aviation pre-COVID and post-COVID era. I think that is where the line should be.
Okay.
Pre-COVID, people would still be very conservative in flying a private plane, saying that it's very expensive. It is like not affordable. Why should I charter? I'm talking about this. These are the words from a lot of big chairmen.
Right.
Why should I charter a plane? There's a connectivity from Delhi to so many places, from Bombay to so many places. Yeah. I take a train from Ludhiana, I come to Delhi, and then I go to any places. These are the words from big guys. Correct. What COVID taught us I would say, harshly, was that one, relationship is very important. Number two, your health is very important. Certainly. Number three, at least for these business leaders, is don't sit on the money. Utilize this money. You have earned so much of money all these years. What for? Sure. Use this money to make your life simpler and earn more money. Right. So all these years before COVID, we would go and tell these business leaders, listen, charter is not expensive. Right. It is necessity. Right. You save so much of time. Yeah. Right. You can do the same amount of business in maybe 1/4 of the time that you are possibly spending. So true. Right. You are spending 280 days in a year traveling and making some money for your company. Right. Chartering, that thing comes down to 70 days. You have got 210
280 days.
Yes.
Can be brought down to 70 days.
Absolutely.
Just by having a charter.
Imagine Gaurav has to travel, let's say, from Delhi to Jaipur in the morning, have a meeting, finish it off, go to Raipur in the afternoon, finish the meeting, go to Coimbatore, stay overnight, maybe for a wedding or maybe another contract, stay overnight, next day off to Bombay, finish the work, come down to, let's say, to off-peak place. Let's say you want to go to Sirohi, for example. There's a plant out there, for example. Finish the work, come back Delhi. Can you think of doing this in a commercial plane?
It's a 1-week agenda.
And you are getting screwed up, that's a different thing, but your secretary would go mad. She'll go nuts arranging for your flight. And most importantly, you are being, I would say, commanded by the airline's schedule. You have to be there at the airport 1 hour before.
Sure. Right.
So on one hand, you are sitting with the chairman or with the client, and on the other hand, there's a tick happening in your mind. Oh, I have to reach the airport. This is now how the business leader would think of his life. He wants to go to places and stay there in whatever time.
Right.
3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. He should be absolutely free from that TikTok in his mind.
Yeah. And I love that. So like you mentioned that, when someone is flying commercial, now, 1 hour is, and maybe for some of the smaller airports, okay. But otherwise, if you're not flying, let's say first or business, there's going to be longer lines, there's going to be, longer, security, etc. and all of that.
True.
Sometimes, because of certain days, there's extensive checking or, more rigorous checking. So it can even get a little crazier. Hence, obviously, let's say 2 hours is, what you need. When you're flying private, Okay, how much time do you then need? Like, what is someone who's flying private? What is their security check-in
At
protocol?
proper airports,
experience?
only
What's it
30
like?
minutes.
30
Proper
minutes.
airports, only 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And in places which are unmanned. For example, yesterday we flew from Riva. Small
Where is
airport.
Riva?
15 minutes.
Okay.
Right? The people who flew, they got delayed by 1 hour. And there was absolutely no chaos, nothing. They came at 7:15. They were supposed to come at 6:15. They came at 7:15. No problem.
Right.
The crew waited at the airport.
Yeah.
Peacefully, they came to the airport, sat in the aircraft, flew down to Delhi. That's about it. So that's the beauty of it. So first of all, you can change your time, provided the airport is open because the
Right.
place which you're going.
Right.
Now that's again a challenge, which
Yeah.
I'll cover later.
Yeah.
You're flying with the people of your choice. So if Gaurav is flying, he knows he's flying with his CEO or CXO or whatever.
Right.
Why I'm saying this thing, because how did COVID happen? You don't know who you're sitting with. You may be a business leader, you're sitting in a business class, you don't know who's your next co-passenger.
Yeah.
He may be carrying some kind of a virus.
Yeah.
And you're a $1 million guy and you don't know who you're sitting with, and then next morning
Sick.
you contract that virus and then you're gone.
Yeah.
How much money? I mean, why did you make so much money for? To make yourself, safer. Number 2. Number 3, as I said earlier, you can change your destination. For example, you're supposed to fly from, let's say, to Raipur to Coimbatore, but said, no, Coimbatore thing is cancelled. Let me go to Hyderabad. Fair enough. Change within 10 minutes. You are,
While you're in the air, you can actually do that as well.
Yeah, you just tell not exactly, but then even on the ground, if you're coming from a meeting, I said, okay, fine. Your secretary calls up, say, listen, sir, that meeting is not happening, but you can go to Hyderabad because I was following up for the meeting and we have got it finally with the CM. Off to Hyderabad.
Yeah.
Where would you get this kind of this kind of flexibility?
Yeah.
So a business leader needs all these things for chartering.
Right. So of course, and for business people, time is money, and you've really mentioned that.
Right.
What are the other kind of people who are chartering a lot? I'm sure there's a bit of politicians, a little bit of celebrities. What are some of the other clients that you have in terms of which generation, which genre they're falling into?
The latest generation of family business guys, they're flying a lot nowadays. Not because they want to make a statement, right? But see, there was time when you had all the Gucci's and the Armani's and the Rolex and stuff like that.
Right.
Then came maybe high-end houses, maybe in Manhattan or in Dubai or whatever.
Sure.
Then private jet is one thing that you make statement for. Now look at this small thing that happens nowadays. Like today, even in a small village, a family wants to get his bahu or so-called his whatever in a helicopter. They say, "ठीक है, I want to make a statement कि मेरे गांव में helicopter उतरा and stuff like that." And look at then he can walk बोलते हैं ना वो सीने चौड़े करके walk करें देखो मेरा बेटी या बहू उसमें आए थे kind of. Why it is all happening? People had money earlier also, but now they're using this money for to maybe not shoshabazi, but then I would say just to make some kind of a statement. Right?
Agree.
So even the startup founders are flying nowadays.
Right.
Who has money, they're flying. Right. So I think after COVID, people who have never chartered, who could have always chartered plane,
Right.
he was going to some places which is like accessible by road or by train.
Right.
Now, like even for 20-30 minutes of distance of flying, they're flying in a private plane. They don't mind spending 20-30 lakh rupees to cover these places because now they have understood that
The value of that.
value of life is.
And globally, and if you were to make a comparison with, let's say, the US, there it's very, very common, right? I remember I'd gone for a Grant Cardone conference once, and I was sitting at the Mandalay Bay, and I was at the poker room, and we were playing poker with a couple of the guys, and the conversation at the poker table, and now this is a 1-3 poker table, okay? So it's the cheapest poker game in Vegas. You can actually sit down with $500. So it's not like a billionaire's poker game. But there were 3 guys, and all they were talking about is, where their jet is parked, right? And what was the experience like and everything else. And one of them was in an NGO, okay? They were running a US NGO. Another one was just a businessman. Another one was someone in New Grant and just kind of brought his plane in.
True.
And some of these were not like really fancies. I mean, they could have been just Pipers or, even turbojets. But the point is, over there, the culture of, both in terms of owning a plane as well as, chartering is very, very, is the norm. It's no big deal, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this question always arises in my mind. Today, there's so many rules and regulations here in India. Today, I mean, unfortunately, if you have to fly to some places, we're always like, God knows what will be like that airport, coming out with some kind of surprises for us. You cannot come at so and so time. Don't, I mean, I don't know. We are one of the fastest growing economy in the world.
Right.
And we still have this kind of, and flying by commercial or by, flying as, you have to make aviation very simpler for all of us.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who want to fly private.
Right.
They're still holding themselves. Why? Because they know that we still don't have the infra. We may have 140 airports, so-called developed, like stuff like that. But do we have the infra for that? We don't have, unfortunately, right? What's more, if you look at US, right? Today you can drive down to your aircraft, fly off, right? John Travolta has a runway behind his house,
747
has a
also,
backyard,
right?
right? 747 years,
Yeah.
like, Now, if you look at this new this event that happened at St. George, San Francisco, the Great Ball,
Right.
look at the number of planes. Have you seen that video? It's crazy. There were more than 100 planes plus, and they managed it so beautifully. Today, we have got one World Cup match in Ahmedabad or in, let's say, Chandigarh or someplace. The airport goes nuts.
Yeah.
They're not able to manage it. Why? I mean, don't we have infra? Why are we not? In fact, why? My question always arises. I mean, this question to the civil aviation department, that why we are not developing enough infra to cover up the to handle such kind of events.
Right.
Can we handle 100 planes at any of the airports? No, we cannot do it.
No.
How did San Jose did it? I mean, they were not born yesterday. Like, they were there. But we have to take aviation very seriously.
Right. So
Right.
typical Indian airport, let's just take, maybe, T3 in Delhi or, the old Mumbai airport. I'm sure with
Okay.
new Mumbai airport, there's also slightly more provision.
Mhm.
How many private planes could, along with the commercial planes, could they actually take care of at a point of time?
See, Delhi has got brilliant infra comparatively, I would
Right.
say. We have a lot of space for aircraft, and that's the reason why most of the planes in India, private planes, are there in Delhi.
Nice.
Mumbai is in bad shape. Mumbai, there are penalty, stuff like that. Okay, so if your plane is not registered in Bombay, there's a huge penalty for you, right? Bombay, being a commercial capital of India,
Right.
they deserve to have a better airport, bigger airport, much bigger airport, right? I don't know how far Greater Mumbai, that Navi Mumbai airport will do handle it. I'm not very sure about it. But then, if you look at the old airport, the current airport in Mumbai, they have close to about 15-20 aircraft, mostly mostly Mr. Ambani's aircraft are mostly there.
Right.
Then we've got Jindals, we have got Birlas, stuff like that. But then, what about other people? So today, if you want to fly to Bombay, there's a slot system. You have to fly for a slot for takeoff or landing, and you cannot fly in a short notice.
Oh wow!
Right, because you don't get slot unless
This
it's
is
a
the
medical
commercial
flight.
capital of India.
Commercial capital of India. No?
Yeah.
If you look at Delhi, well, we have got enough space, but still sometimes there's a problem. Why I'm saying this thing, because I think when we are expanding at such a huge manner, right? But the pace and the facilities has to go hand in hand. You're getting a great pace. You're opening airports here and there. But are we having enough manpower? Do we have enough infra out there to handle flights? That's very important.
Right.
Today, places like, even small places like Udaipur, Jaipur, like, there are sometimes that they don't give you parking. Okay, there are 6 parking bay in Udaipur. Udaipur is a huge wedding destination.
Of course, and tourism, and this global tourists who come, and maybe they they fly into their Gulf Stream to India, and then I guess if they can't get to an Agra or a Udaipur, I think that's going to be quite upsetting for them.
True, very true. So Delhi can handle. I mean, Delhi has got more than 400, 500 planes there, like parked all together. I'm talking.
Right.
And we still want more. It's like ye dil mange more. We want even more space. And look at South. Look at Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is building extra space for parking. Right. They already have, but that is still insufficient. They're building more space for private plane because Ahmedabad is growing very fast. Ahmedabad, Uday, Hyderabad. Look at Bangalore, Chennai, all the places.
Right.
So if they have a proper infra, proper parking space, you're not giving tough time to the corporate houses. Believe me, there'll be 100 more people who will buy aircraft the next day.
And you mentioned this, that the cost of ownership is actually not as high as some would perceive. Because like some people think that, you have to be a multi-millionaire or a billionaire to own an aircraft. But there are many options that are there. And I think you mentioned, the 4 styles of, ownership or fractional ownership or even investment-based things or buying ours. Tell our viewers and listeners about the 4 options. What are the 4 options what someone has when they go out there to, fly private?
Gaurav, it all depends on your requirement. So if you're not a very avid flyer, you're going for a walk-in charter, right? You don't have to block your money or going for. But if you know that I can fly for 50 hours per annum, which is still very low, or maybe 100, or around that, you buy hours. You know, people like us, we help you buy hours in
Right.
aircraft, in a type of aircraft. So if this is not available, this is available. So we give you a certain kind of discount,
Right.
and that hours are blocked for you. You know,
Nice.
you have to use it in a year,
Right.
and we are not very harsh on that.
Sure.
Even if you're able to fly, let's say, example, 90% of it, we can carry forward those deficit next year.
Got it.
Right? That's one. Second way. Third way, fractional ownership unfortunately did not work in India. We were the first company, in Mex company, we were the first one to do this. It did not work out because the mathematics says that the number of members that you have got, sorry, the number of aircraft that you have should be at least double than the number of members that you have got. Now you have to have a lot of money to have this kind of aircraft, because you have to put money first. You cannot think of, I'll take money from Gaurav, buy aircraft, and then I'll roll on this. No, you have to first put in your money to at least get 2 aircraft,
Right.
run the show,
Right.
and then take money from the investor and get more aircraft, and then go on and so on and so forth. Fourth is, of course, you buy a plane. So if your requirement, if you know that you're flying for about 200 hours per annum,
Right.
I think you are sitting at that place where you should buy your own plane, right? Now, buying plane, there are 2 ways to do it. One is private category, wherein you cannot run it on a commercial basis, which is you're buying plane only for your purpose, you and your company purpose.
Which a lot of the industrialists are probably doing that.
Quite a bit, not many, because the taxes are almost close to 35% duty that you pay when you get aircraft in private category.
Correct.
Second category is NSOP, non-scheduled operator permit.
Okay.
When you get aircraft in this category, you can run it on as a commercial basis also. You can give it out for charters. You can fly yourself also. The best part is your duty is close to about 3.5-4%.
Oh,
That's about it.
wow.
So why not?
Makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're giving out to other people also. You're making money out of it also.
Use it when you want to use it, and when it's not being used,
Absolutely.
lease it out.
Absolutely.
Right. Awesome.
One model which is working very nice nowadays are like wherein there are people who already has aircraft in their NSOP. Right. You just invest money. You just become an investor with that company, and let the company get plane for you.
Yeah.
Right. So, example, they already have 10 planes. Gaurav gives money to them. Let's example 10 million or whatever.
Correct.
They give you a brief about which aircraft, shortlist, do everything for you.
Right.
The only thing that you do is you only fly, right? And then you become a part of that consortium.
Yeah.
The bigger benefit is not just becoming a part. The bigger benefit is that when your plane is not available for some reason, you can fly other plane in that same group.
Right.
So your mission is being accomplished, right? And then you're getting a group of aircraft which you can choose from and your hours are being deducted proportionately.
Right.
So that's one way. That's a brilliant model which is working nowadays today.
Got it. I love it. I think it makes a lot of sense because as you said that there is that option of going ahead and leasing it ahead to others as well, and of course duties are lesser, and this is commercial sense.
Right.
What are you seeing? Because and if we talk about the various kind of jets, I mean, I know Grant Cardone has now a Gulfstream 650 or probably heading towards the 700, which is the ultra long range jet. And that's one thing. But you start out from even the very light jet categories, right? Which would be a Honda or a small Citation, which is really choto aircraft. It starts from there. Then of course you have your light jets, and then you have all the other categories that are really there. So I guess when it's a new aircraft vis-a-vis a used aircraft. What are you seeing in terms of buying patterns in India? Are people preferring to go for new, or are they going for slightly used?
There's absolutely no problem buying a pre-owned aircraft, and people buy it because today in market you get a decent aircraft at a very decent price. Any aircraft which is flown for 3,000, 4,000 hours is like as good as a new one, right? So I'm working on a project where the client has told me that I want an aircraft which is like not more than 2020 model old, right? But his budget was pretty less. So I said, no, you have to increase the budget, or else you'll not get a good aircraft in this budget.
Right.
So he has increased the budget to almost like 80 crores,
Yeah.
which is like decent amount, the kind of aircraft he wants. People, if you ask me, there are hardly anyone in India who has bought a latest aircraft, absolutely a brand new. When you're getting a good aircraft, 2-3 years old at a very decent price, right? Or even a 5 years old aircraft, why would you spend so much of money?
Yeah.
And so there are an aircraft like XLS Plus is there, which is the latest machine in the market. It's a 2025 model, 2025 model. People are buying that thing. But
what kind of investment does one make in that, in crores?
Almost like 150 odd crores, right? Minimum.
Right.
Unless and until I met a chairman whose Pandit has told him that never sit in a pre-owned aircraft.
Yeah.
So this gentleman actually bought his own plane, which is like a brand new, all thanks to his Pandit.
Of
So
course, of
I
course.
can't comment on that, but it makes all the sense to buy a pre-owned aircraft.
I think
There's
make a
no
lot of
problem.
sense for aviation companies to invest more in pundits and say, "Ab bata do bas, you know, no second-hand aircrafts, no used aircrafts, only brand new
It's
aircrafts."
like
I
a
think
matchmaker kind of situation for
correct,
us.
and
Yeah,
it's, people are so big on astrology and all
true,
of that as well. So I'm sure
true.
that happens. So when you said 80 crores,
Yeah.
what kind of aircraft does 80 crores buy you?
So this one which are working for him is Citation XLS. It's an 8-seater aircraft,
Mm-hmm.
mid-size jet,
Mm-hmm.
5'7" cabin height, 5 feet 7 inches,
Right.
proper washroom, 8-seater, 2 pilots, a cabin crew. You can fly anywhere in India, northeast, west, south, anywhere you can fly, no problem with that.
Right.
Uh, and you can easily reach out even from Delhi to Dubai, Malé to with
Nice.
limited number of
Nice. Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
Kathmandu to
Right.
Paro.
Kind of gets the
Uh,
job done for most.
yes.
Yeah.
So his brief was very simple that I want to fly across India majorly now.
Right.
He's in expansion mode, and one place could be is Dubai because Dubai is the hub. So that's what he's looking at. So that is fitting pretty well in his budget.
Yeah. Yeah. Not bad. And when a lot of these people come, is bank financing available easily as well? Because when you go to buy a car, I mean, bank financing is obviously very very accessible. What happens in the plane space?
See, unfortunately, after Jet Airways and Go Air fiasco,
Right.
a lot of bankers have actually, I would say they have put aviation in a gray zone. But if you want to buy a plane, I think the best financer is your own banker because they know your history in and out. So nobody trusts you more than your banker. They would know your credit history very well. So they are the best people to go.
Right.
But there are bankers, there are banks abroad who does your financing. But if at all you want to do from your offshore company, etc., so you want to keep an aircraft in foreign, not to
Right.
get it in India.
Right.
So it all depends which which kind of financial model you want to opt for.
Right. Right.
So I think the best thing is your own banker.
Yeah. So tell me, like, also, and I'm very curious again from the perspective of someone who intends to own an aircraft. One is obviously the cost of acquisition of the aircraft. Second is cost of maintenance.
True.
Third is cost of let's say crew and other stuff. And then of course there is the landing fees and all the the basically other things that go along with it.
Right.
So what kind of, so let's say again we take this case where there's 80 crores being put down on the aircraft. What would be some of the other costs involved if this person is using it for their own use and not using the the NSOP method?
Monthly, you have to spend about 25 to 30 lakh rupees. It includes your pilot costs, your maintenance, your insurance, your salary, everything. It's like a DOC,
Yeah.
right? It's like an overall cost, sorry. And
Right.
whenever you're flying this aircraft, so
Right.
we sell this aircraft for about 3.75 lakh rupees an hour of
Okay.
flying.
Okay.
This is the market cost. But
Right.
when you are flying yourself, you're
Right.
only paying DOC. Right. So, and all the other costs like parking cost at, let's say, example, you're going to Bombay. So that's on actuals, and fuel is on actuals.
Of course.
Your handling at airports is on actual. Your crew boarding lodging is on actual. So that is
Right.
variable cost.
Right. Right.
But your DOC on this aircraft will be close to about 2.5 to 2.75 lakh rupees. So that's what you're going to spend every time you're flying
Got
this
it.
aircraft.
Got it. And so for a lot of people, that makes a lot of sense. Like you said, some of these are 8-seaters,
Right.
and if they've got like, the entire crew, I mean, like the office core team that has to kind of travel, for
Right.
an offsite or a meeting, it would
Right.
make a lot of sense for them to actually look at an option of the charter. It's a no-brainer from that
Yeah,
perspective.
yeah, I mean, so I tell you one thing. There's this, corporate house who went ahead and they bought two legacies. Okay, this legacy can fly. It's a 13-seater aircraft. They bought
Right.
two legacies.
Right.
And I got a shock of my life because initially, before buying his own plane, he flew with us twice. And then once he told me that, I'll buy my own plane, stuff like that.
Right.
I was like not very sure that he had just started flying
Right.
2-3 bar charter ki, how
Right.
can he buy?
Right.
And frankly speaking, I underestimated him, right? And then he went ahead and he bought two aircraft in private category, right? And his planes are both 13-seater. You can fly from here to Middle East, your Southeast peacefully,
Right.
right? Even
Right.
you can go to Europe, early part of Europe,
Right.
right? And with one shot, you can even go to London also with one fuel stop,
Got it.
right? So if you look at people who are buying the aircraft and it's very difficult to define actually that what kind of somebody who has just flown a 7-seater plane for 2 times and buying a 13-seater plane, because he did not look at his flying today, he looked at the flying that will happen 5 years down the line.
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So he thought, now I'm expanding. I've expanded in India big time. I'm going to Middle East. He's an infra guy. Now I'll go to Europe and other part of the world. I need a plane which can take me to all places, non-stop, or maybe with one stop.
Yeah.
So that's what. So it all depends not on today's flying,
Right.
but where you want to see your flying going 5 years,
Right.
10 years down the line.
And it's also very strategic. Like I'm thinking, okay, you want to break into a new market like the Middle East or Southeast Asia, and you land in that particular country, and then you tell this person, hey, if you want, we can always get on my plane and go to a plane location. It's a big flex also,
Right.
that I have my own plane, and this is so it also becomes almost a great way of standing out from the crowd. So I think that's a big differentiator as well.
Absolutely. Even at my level, I'm not being modest, but if 10 people are standing in a group and then say, okay, fine, I'm a banker, and somebody says, listen, I deal private jets, you automatically people start turning your
Get
head.
your attention.
So
Right.
it's a flashy business, but yes, in India requires a lot of work.
Right.
We are way behind the US and Europe market.
Yeah.
We need a lot of work to do here.
What are some of the pitfalls? Like, and of course, you come in a lot in the advisory capacity also, where you're telling people, don't go down this route or don't take this aircraft.
Yeah.
What are some of the pitfalls, or what are some of the mistakes that you've seen, people make when they say, like, I'm going to plane Uthana, we want to buy our own plane? What are some of the mistakes that people, end up making that cost them?
I wish I could name a couple of the corporate houses. They landed in a big problem. In fact, we sold one plane to one company, and then we were in the initial phase of our company when 4C Aviation was born.
Right.
They wanted to buy a plane, and we said, fair enough. I mean, no problem, buy a plane. They bought the plane, but then they did not know how to use a plane, right? So buying a plane is a different thing altogether. But how do you want to use it? Do you want to use it for your your officers, or you want to use it for your CXOs? You want to use it for a family?
Right.
You want to use it to oblige some people? You have to be very careful.
Right.
Your mission should be very clear, right? So people do make mistakes of buying a plane, and this happens in this market. Very interestingly, I call this market as a very egoistic market. So if Gaurav has a private plane, and I think, oh, Gaurav is a 1,000 crore guy, he has a private plane. Oh, I'm a 5,000 crore guy. Why should I not have a plane? But point is, he required his all the places that he travels are very untouched places by commercial. I fly to maybe to Bombay, to Hyderabad, Bangalore. I mean, all places are very well covered. I don't need one comparatively. Right, and my flying is very less. His flying is like almost 400 hours in a year. Right. I fly not even 10 hours of charter. Right. How much will it become? Even if I have a private plane, this 10 will become maybe 100. True that. But 10 will not become 400. Yeah. So we have to understand that thing. Yeah. Right? Number one. Number two, one thing which unfortunately I find only in India market, people do a lot of shopping. I don't know what for. I mean, if you want to buy a plane or if you want to charter a plane, right, what fund do you get involving 10 people? So there are corporate houses I know of, a lot of. In fact, I told them very frankly that don't include me in this conversation. Please, I'm not the one you're going to deal with. Right. I'm not interested. I tell you why, because you're giving this query to 10 people who doesn't have this query of yours. Just with a small leg of 2 hours, you're giving it to the entire world. It's not that how much money will I make, but it's like a jungle. Yeah. It doesn't happen. I don't see this happening any place in the world except in India here. Sure. And I don't know what kind of fun they get out of it. Yeah. They won't tell the boss that listens that I've taken from 10 people. But look at the criminal waste of time. Of course. You've wasted so much of time in getting all this information that the inventory is only one. Agreed. And you're going to 10 people for the same inventory. Yeah. So this mistake is something which I tell my corporate house, don't do this. Have 2-3 people. I mean, not even 3, have 2. Right. Trust your supplier. Yeah. And they'll give you the best. Right. If you go to 10 people, they will not trust you. No, the first time they'll get a chance to fly you, they know that next time is not going to come to me. I think it's not only in your industry, it's also like if you take a look at, I mean, of course, smaller ticket, businesses that we're part of, like for example, even in gifting or, in the training and coaching industry. And the same thing happens there as well. Even in coaching?
Oh, for sure. They'll be like, and sometimes like, having a conversation, they're like, how you asked for, X number of lakhs, but this other person's coming in, those may number of thousands. I'm like, wait a second. I said, here we're talking about, changing the trajectory of your company, changing the mindset of your management. I said, you're not out there buying potatoes and tomatoes, right? There's something that's a game changer thing that's going to set an organization forward for the next, 6 months, 12 months, few years. And still they're like, oh, but that guy's coming in these many rupees, so it's bizarre. And then they'll have, 4 people reach out, especially if there's an exclusive product. And let's say that, in the line of, let's say a Shantanu Nikhil, there's only one Shantanu Nikhil, right? True. There's only one person come through. Yeah. Why are you having 5 people reach out to us and, do all that stuff? So I think it's unfortunate that, that sometimes this mindset of negotiating too much and trying to get a big deal and win brownie points. I mean, I've always believed that there are procurement professionals, okay, who will say that, acha, XYZ company quoted this much, I save this much money. So, when it's time for my appraisal, take care of me. I think they're trying to win brownie points, but I don't think they realize the damage that they've done to the reputation of the organization.
True.
And how they're perceived.
I think that's the best point.
Yeah.
You have literally killed the reputation of a company. You should not do this thing. And I don't know what fun you get out of it.
True that.
Anyways.
But I love how you also mentioned that, the service and, the care that you take is what really sets you apart.
Right.
I mean, you mentioned about, when it comes to cuisine, when it comes to, even linen, like one of your podcasts, you're talking about the fact that, some guy said he wanted a particular sheet and you drove to Khan Market and you, you put the linen in your car and you rush into the airport.
In fact, I banged my car also that day.
Right? So tell us about that, people are only talking about the money, but look at how much, personal attention and care you've always given and continue to give. Like, give us examples of that as well.
Okay. I fly a lot of foreign tourists, in India. So normally when we get the passport copy, because foreign passengers, they have to give us passport.
Right.
So I normally go through the passport, right? Okay, fair enough. Not very rigorously, but I see what if the day of flying, one of the guests have his or her birthday. That we can find it out, right? Not anniversary or whatever, but unless until the agent tell us, right? But sometimes it happens. Right. And we ask our agent that, listen, Mr. Smith's flying with us that day and it is his birthday. I mean, are you aware of it or should we? Oh, we didn't know. Or they said, no, don't do anything because they don't want any kind of, somebody spying or something like this. But yes, why can't we have a bouquet or we can have a flower or something like this? We can do it for small thing, right? But then looking at the passport, right? Sometimes what happens, I remember there was a gentleman who was flying with us, and recently I saw his profile, and he recently has got an award in Scotland. Nice. I said, can't we just, when he comes, can't we just tell him, sir, congratulations that you got an award this day for history, and he was pleasantly surprised. Yeah. He was like, oh, thank you so much, kind of a. So we have a lot of these small stories. I tell it very proudly for my company that once you fly with us, we know in and out of you. Like in and out means what you like, what you don't dislike, what you're allergic to. Right. Sometimes people say that I don't want this smell in the aircraft, or I don't want garlic or this kind of thing in my food. Once you fly with us, and we have a system which says it all. You don't have to tell us next time that what you want, what you don't want. Right. Number 2. Number 3, whenever we are flying anybody, right, it's not a flight for us. Maybe it's a half an hour flight to Agra. Sure. Or maybe it's a 3 hours flight to Maldives. Right. For us, it's a mission. So till the time the plane has not landed, right, we are on it. So 7 days before the flight, if we have enough time, we keep updating the client on their WhatsApp, saying that this is a weather report on a daily basis trend, because there could be some kind of a change, right? Small things, right? Weather report, right? Because it's under nobody's control. We try not to control, but we try to tell them this is a trend. This day, we might expect some kind of a rain, or this day, there could be a visibility issue. So I request you to kindly keep your departure a bit flexible. It might happen. Half an hour means nothing, no? But for us, it means a lot. Because that guy is paying me from his nose to fly with me. He's trusting me that I'll take care of everything for him. He's going for an important meeting. He's going for an important outing. Half an hour means a lot, right? We also tell them that, we even coordinate with the drivers. Nobody does in India. You give me your driver's number and my team will even tell him where to come, वहाँ पे क्या-क्या rules, regulations है airport पे, if the plane has landed, yes, plane has landed, आप आ जाओ वहाँ पे. Right. So end to end,
extra distance in everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is not philosophy, we mean it. Fly once with us, you'll see these differences. There are times when the flight has got screwed up also. Some technical issues happen. But it's a machine, it can happen. When it can happen to a prime minister's plane, why can't it happen with us? Of course. But how do you handle that? That's very important. Right. So I keep telling my friends in this industry, I said, देखो होता है. Plane problem हो सकती है, but be honest. Right. Don't give me cocks and bull stories. So there's something, that's the reason we don't deal with all the operators in India, very frankly speaking. Don't give me stories. If there are operators, you'll be surprised. You give them a business of 10 lakh rupees. They'll take money from you, confirm the flight. Even a night before, if they get a business of 20 lakh rupees, they'll say no to you. And how dare you do this? Of course. And I'll not fly with you. You'll never be my first choice. You'll be my last choice next time. Right. So the kind of contract that we have got, these are the parameters we keep. We keep a parameters. How does the pilot even greet my guest? Lovely. Right? So I don't want that if you're flying to a small place, let's say to Umaria, there's no 5-star hotel, but we'll give you the best of the accommodation. Please understand that we are not against you. We want you to take rest because you're flying. But we are also answerable. Right. So there are a lot of such things, small things. We take care of it with the client. We ask them what do you want, what don't. So, like for example, there was a lady who was flying with me recently, a very old lady. It was a group. We were flying from Hyderabad to Vidyanagar, and I asked my client, I said, "Sir, I can see in the passport she's like almost 80. Should we keep a wheelchair handy? We should keep, because suddenly she'll come to the Hyderabad airport and see, Arey, there's no wheelchair and Arey, I want something.
Right.
We cannot be arranging at the last moment.
Right.
What's harm? We were like 40 people in that group. I said, let's keep 3-4
Yeah.
wheelchair. And it worked. Na? A couple of them actually wanted a wheelchair and they forgot
Nice.
to tell us.
Brilliant.
So we go through the profile, we see who are the people flying, if there is something important about it, right? We flew Mrs. Indra Nui once, and I requested the airline that we had a group of 12 CEOs flying with us. We requested the airline. It was one airline we flew with, Star Air.
Yeah.
So they gave us a charter terminal in Chennai. They gave us a closest terminal in Mumbai. So
All
we
these
tell
things
them
matter
it
in that
matters.
stage.
We request.
Right.
We just don't take it कि अच्छा flight हाँ हो जाएगा. No. For me, whether it's Mrs. Indra Nui or it's anybody who's flying with me.
Right.
For me, they are guests and you'll be taken care of it very transparently and with good intention and with a lot of love and respect for you.
Love it. That's what the world, truly needs as well.
Absolutely.
So, you spoke a little bit about technical glitches coming, and unfortunately, recently, we had an example where a plane actually, did go down, and
Yeah.
it was the deputy, chief minister of Maharashtra. What are some of the, the checks and balances that are extremely important, and and how are you doing that, with your company, so that things like this, shouldn't happen.
That was unfortunate. The captain who was flying, Captain Sumit, very seasoned pilot, Sambhavi, very sweet lady. She was. I have flown, with them.
Right.
Shocking for all the lives that were lost that day. See, people keep asking us, give us the vintage of the plane that we are flying. And I strongly believe that there's no connection between vintage and the performance.
Right.
See, aircraft is like us. It's like a body.
Yeah.
If you take care of yourself properly, do your proper checkups, do your proper food, have a proper food, sleep on time,
Right.
you'll be all right. No?
Yeah.
Same aircraft. If you
Yeah.
if you go through a proper maintenance without any shortcuts,
Of course.
right, take care of it properly,
Right.
follow all the rules and regulations.
Right.
The problem only incurs when you actually do any kind of a shortcut.
Shortcuts. Mm.
That's it. If you have a brilliant engineering team behind your aircraft, if you have got a brilliant aircraft, pilots behind, perfectly fine. Don't do any shortcut in the aircraft.
Yeah.
This is a very precious, resource, because the people who are flying, it's not zameen to hai nahi ki aap gaadi rok ke park kar diyo. It's like an air,
Of course.
right? And look what happened in Baramati. Look at what happened in Ahmedabad,
Yeah.
right? But I think also most importantly, our authority has to be very strict now. They get strict only when something like this happens.
Really.
It should be rules are rules, simple and straight,
Yeah. No exceptions.
followed,
also.
no exceptions,
Mm.
because human life are involved in this.
Yeah. Yeah. And shortcuts would primarily happen in the aspect of maintenance, or just cutting corners somewhere.
True that.
And this is what the repercussion is. Yeah. So let's look at a bit of rapid fire, and of course, at the end there has to be a goodie bag at the end of the podcast as well. Personal preference, of course, easy one, but turboprop or jets?
Jets.
Okay. What are you more like? Are you more of a short hop kind of guy or an ultra long haul?
I prefer ultra long. Till time it is a private plane.
Nice. Yeah. The most beautiful airport that you have landed in?
Ranthambore, my favorite.
Nice.
It's like an airfield.
Yeah.
There's no ATC, nothing. It's unmanned.
Right.
I love to land.
Ranthambore is so big for weddings and wildlife tourism and all of that.
Oh, you must land there. I mean, this is my favorite. Even people say कि वहाँ के शेर भी मुझे जानते हैं. I've flown so much time. So many
What's the
times.
distance for Delhi Ranthambore, like the flight time?
50 minutes. If we can even fly a jet aircraft there,
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
flown. Yeah, 50 minutes to 1 hour.
Okay. Favorite city to fly into at night?
Good question. I think once I landed in Male, actually,
Mhm.
it was like brilliant. It was like a unbelievable sight to land there amid sea and stuff like that.
Nice. Mali in the Maldives.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. First thing that you notice when you board an aircraft?
Yeah, the look of the aircraft. I mean, I'll never buy a BBJ. I'll never buy ACJ. I'll always buy a private jet, not those commercial plane turn into one, commercial. I mean, private jet.
So the look is the most important
Yeah.
aspect for you. Okay. One luxury people assume exists on jets, but usually doesn't.
They think that they can have, in fact, that liquor or champagne in the aircraft, even domestic flight. But then that's not possible.
Okay. That restriction.
Howsoever big the plane is, commercially we cannot offer you liquor.
Okay. Okay. Got that. Early morning departures or red eye flights?
Early morning, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sight. So
Got it. What's the hardest part of running an aviation company?
the regulations.
Mm. Aircraft that you personally dream of owning one day.
I'll buy a global Sen 500.
Yeah. Nice. And that's in the
Bombardier.
league of a Gulfstream
Yes.
700
Yes.
ish. Right?
Yes.
Okay, love it. Okay. One myth about private aviation that you want to kill.
That it is expensive. It is not at all expensive.
Love that. Most underrated airport in India.
There are quite a bit of it, but then if you look at, I would rather say airstrip.
Yeah.
Look at Umaria. Umaria is a beautiful airstrip.
Where is Umaria?
Umaria, Bandhavgarh National Park.
Okay.
Right? They have a night parking facilities. They have got beautiful runway. You can land a jet also over there.
Nice.
So yesterday, in fact, my client asked me 3 times, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" Yes, I said 100% sure. I sent him a video of landing there. So if you go to unmanned airstrip, they are beautiful. It's a different feeling altogether.
Right.
You can, yeah.
Wow. And how many unmanned airfields would we have in India?
Close to over 100 odd in India.
Really?
Yeah.
Love that. If not aviation, what business do you think you would have been in?
Films.
Okay. Yeah, that was like straight away like Bollywood. Yeah. Okay. Takeoff or landing? What do you enjoy more?
Landing.
Favorite country to fly private in?
Male.
Craziest last minute booking request?
It has to be Male again because on the 25th of December 2024, we got a call at 10:20 a.m. and we took off at 1412 hours from Delhi. International flight with all the permission, all the permits. Christmas doesn't matter, but we took off in span of, let's say, and we got the confirmation at 11:58 p.m. to be precise, and within 2 hours and 14 minutes or something, we were airborne from Delhi to Maldives.
Nice.
Went to Mafaru.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Best in-flight snack that you've had to serve or on a plane?
It all depends what do you want actually. So it's preference wise. So I had almost like if you would ask me, I like this kind of chocolates that they put on aircraft. Sometimes I just carry it with me in my pocket.
Between Bollywood or business
business people, anytime.
Yeah.
Business people anytime.
Yeah. All right. Biggest luxury inside a jet that impresses first-time flyers? Inside the aircraft is the look of it. If you're flying, depending on the aircraft, if you're flying a Falcon or even if you're flying a Hawker, you get mesmerized. If you're flying, I have flown a lot of my friends in Falcon, and they're like, "Oof!" It's like your own private bedroom kind of situation, And they even went to the washroom and they clicked photographs and everything. Like they were crazy, so. Yeah. Private aviation in India, is it booming or is it just beginning?
Booming.
Yeah. All right. One aviation movie that you really enjoyed?
I think Sarfire was which is like Akshay Kumar's film based on Gopinath, and that's one thing I really enjoyed.
Okay. And last word or last one. Flying gives you what emotion in one word?
Makes me very happy.
Okay.
I track all my flight, and every time it takes off, and I'm like, you can't imagine. I feel like a small kid who's like jumping, and I celebrate every flight of mine. Trust me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
for that one, and really cool rapid fire. So let's talk about another interesting development in your life, where Ajoka, who is now also your business partner and wife. How did that entire piece and story really play out?
So in Club One Air, when I was forming team in 2007, my MD gave me this responsibility of forming team, and that's where I interviewed Ajoka. She came fresh from a B school. And she was the first female I interviewed and offered her a job. And she worked 2 years with me. She left and she joined another charter company. And in 2009, I left. And in fact, she has a credit. The entire credit goes to her for getting into in my own business, because when I left Club One Air, I was about to join another company. And it was then she told me that, listen, and we were not even dating that time. So she said, you're a very emotional person, because I cried a lot when I left Club One Air. I cried a lot that night. So she said, if you are going to join another company tomorrow, you'll again go there. You'll again, you work very emotionally. You'll grow that company, I know for sure. But again, you will leave the company one day or the other, and again, you'll cry. So why don't you start your own? This was on the 28th of September, to be precise, 2009. and 1st October we started 4C Global. So that's how we started off. Then Ajoka came in later. She joined the company because we did not have any money. We just started off with, I think, somebody wrote 50,000. We did not have 50,000 that day. We had very limited amount of money with the pocket. We don't have office, no internet, nothing. So we used to have a dongle and we used to work with that.
Wow.
And Ajoka came in later
Right.
and joined us. By that time, she was one who took the initial loan also from the bank, Citibank, which we paid off very quickly. And then I think the growth has been very
Right.
nice.
Right.
Yes, we've made our own set of mistakes, too much
course.
mistakes in around
Everyone
2014,
does.
15.
Right.
But then it's okay. It's always good to make mistakes and learn from it and move ahead.
Mm.
And then 2021, 16th of February,
Right.
we got married.
Right.
My eldest son, Nirvan, he's going for a pilot training now. So he's from my first marriage. He's with us. He lives with us, Ajoka, and they are very close. And we are blessed with a second baby 2 years back. So this February he'll be turning 2.
Lovely.
So we are. Ajoka has taken a bit of a break from the business. Now she's back.
Right. Right.
So her condition was that after marriage and a baby, I'll take some time to take care of the baby because we did not give it to caretaker and stuff like that.
Correct.
So heads
Nice.
on, but she gives time to the office sometime, but now
Yeah.
she's back full time.
Love it.
So-
So another thing we have in common then, apart from being great salespeople, is that we have a son called Nirvan. So Nirvan is the name of my son as well.
Oh,
Yeah, who's now 19 and in college.
okay. Nirvan and the youngest one is Shivai.
Love it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about technology, because you've spoken, so passionately about technology coming into the business,
True.
and what's really happening. And of course, with Book My Jet, you've actually gone ahead and taken that piece forward.
Right.
What's really happening? I mean, today is AI ka zamana. Everyone's talking about AI and tech. What's really happening, and what more can be done in this space?
Okay. So before 2019, or because that was the time when Book My Jet idea was born in my mind.
Right.
Like, I was sitting with a client and he just told me that Santosh bhai, I want to go from Dehradun to Delhi, if I'm not mistaken. And that very day I had a similar query, from Jaipur, Delhi and stuff, or Jaipur, Delhi, or Delhi, Jaipur, something like this. But he said, I'm only going to pay for this. Or otherwise I can go by commercial, no problem. I said,
Right.
yeah, why can't we have some, like empty leg is a normal thing that people talk about.
Correct.
But that is a very subjective thing.
Yeah.
Why can't we have some kind of a technology where you can actually give the real-time availability of aircraft across India or across globe to the
Right.
flyer,
Right.
so that at least he can see. He doesn't have to contact people like us. He can go to the platform, see where the aircraft are, see the in and out of aircraft, the technologies, the technical specification, the look of
Right.
it, sitting,
Yep.
price, everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just book it.
Mm.
Okay, so that's where Book My Jet idea was born. We wanted to create a platform which is very transparent, which is very straightforward, and which is very clean, and which will teach you how to book a private jet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the basic motive why Book My Jet was born. And 2021 we launched it officially.
Mhm.
And me or Ajoka, we both are not from technology background.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time, and trust me or not, but then almost 1.5 years was wasted by few of my people I knew of.
Sure.
Can't call them my friends anymore.
Right.
But then they wasted my time, in creating something which was like bad. I trusted them.
Mm.
But then after that, one company where I'm also an advisor, they came on board and they said, sir, we are there to help you out. And
Right.
then that's where they started rebuilding it up.
The platform.
The platform.
Yep,
So they're
yep.
still working with me.
Right.
Now I've got proper team who's working on this technology. We've got a
course.
designer who works on the
Right.
communication side of it.
Yep, yep.
But this is just 5% of where I wanted to take Book My Jet. I want to take it
Right.
globally.
Right.
I want to put more aircraft on this platform. I want to make charter very affordable, most importantly.
Love it.
It is affordable,
Mm.
right? It is affordable. And I want to even give, because there are a lot of people who are like maybe 100 crore guy, 200 crore guy. He wants to charter a plane,
Right.
but he's like, he just sit back and think, it's expensive. Why should I spend 10 lakh going to Jabalpur and back? Why can't? But if the same guy can get to fly to Jabalpur, let's say example, just one way possible for 1 lakh rupees, he would be more than happy to jump on it.
Of
So
course.
I got a call from my friend yesterday. He said, "Bhai, just give me a fly, and I can spend 1 lakh rupees. I want to surprise my wife in a private jet." I said, "It's doable, and I'm going to send him in a private jet soon, within the next 7 days,
Love it.
right?" Because I told him that we sell this thing. So if you're going to buy it, there's a cost to it, business, right?
Of course.
So, so when you make this platform very transparent,
Right. Right.
People who get engaged. So we are engaging people with a lot of things, not just empty legs.
Yeah.
We are not selling empty legs for
Yeah.
people. There's a mistake that people commit.
Right.
They try to sell empty leg like a proper flight. No, don't sell it. If you are flying, example, Delhi, Agra drop.
Right.
So Agra, Delhi is coming empty.
Right.
You've already charged the first client Delhi, Agra, Delhi, base to base.
So the empty leg is that leg where the plane is going to be coming back khali,
Right.
coming back
So
empty.
sell it at a very affordable price.
Yeah.
Give a taste of charter flight to somebody who may be your regular flight tomorrow.
Correct.
Why don't you do this?
Yeah.
Instead of thinking of making money once,
Right.
try to give him at a lesser price so that the guy get a taste of charter plane. So recently I flew one guy, Delhi, Udaipur. He's getting married. He just got married. In fact, he flew with his fiance and with his family. 1.25 lakh he was in Udaipur, and he got so excited flying in a private plane that today, that after I think after 14 days or something, he booked a proper charter.
Yeah.
Because once you get a taste of charter plane, the flexibility, the kind of sitting in a BMW, going to the aircraft, and there's an air hostess and a red carpet, you get moved by
It's a
it.
high. No
It's a
doubt,
high. It's
no
a
doubt.
kick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then think, yeah, I can try once. And there are other people who say, oh, Gaurav's flown, why can't I fly? Somebody who has the money. Oh, Gaurav, how was it? Oh, it was great. Yeah, I know. Why don't I fly? So this market works by reference.
And the virality, right? The Instagram and wherever people are posting stuff on Facebook or whatever it might be. I think there's
Not
a lot
much,
of,
but then yes,
there's a lot of that happening.
serious
for
business.
me as
Yeah,
well.
it happens.
Yeah,
It happens.
yeah.
So this is what we're trying to do in Book My Jet, getting everything under technology, because this the world is of Zepto and Blinkit. The world is not for 1 hour delivery. Now it's like quick. People want information quickly and
Of course.
get the booking done quickly.
I love it. And if you just heard that, so in case you're looking to surprise a loved one, make an impression, get in touch with Santosh. You can do it for like $1.5 lakh. You can take someone or less.
I mean
You
it.
can take someone, to an exotic destination and make it very, very memorable. I love that. But as we come to our concluding piece, what do you see happening? What's the future looking like? What's the next, 5, 10, 15, 20 years looking like, in this particular space? What excites you the most?
I go to a lot of colleges and a lot of these big schools and stuff like that, and I keep telling one thing to them, and this is where my thinking lies. This market requires a lot of young guns coming in and doing some great work, not just in technology, but in every aspect. We need some young people because this market in India still lacks innovation, still lacks young people. Still lacks that passion and that emotion and that what do you call that jasba hota na ki is missing. When I go out to the other country and see the kind of people working there, they have a different aura altogether. Their thinking, their mindset is very different towards this market, which is missing drastically in our country. We have no problem. The only thing is, young boys and girls who are doing a B school, who are passing out, they're not even aware of this market.
Agreed.
For them, this is like, okay, young, the corporate honkos are flying. But there are people behind it. Why can't we have guys from the world of AI, from the world of, blockchain coming and doing some work in this market? So that's one thing which is a huge, I would say this market is virgin. Number two, yes, we are getting a lot of planes in India. But what is lacking right now is the regulations, the government regulation, the infrastructure, and proper training of these people. Right. The rules has to be pretty soft. It's a very, 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 like for example, now they're shutting down Jodhpur airport. Now still not fixed, but 99% they are closing from 28th March till 20th of April. This is a season for tourists. True. You're going to screw up big time.
Do it in the summer, right? Do it when it's
do it in May, June. Right. You have no problem. But why now?
Yeah.
Now and then you have airport shutting down. Now and then you have airport having problem with parking. Please ask any guy who owns plane. They'll tell you that we are literally worried about the infra and the policies. Please make it soft. We make a lot of money for you, for this country. Right. But yes, the first part of it, young people, they need to come to this market, do a lot of work. It's absolute virgin market. And the future is aviation. In fact, one of the reports says that one of the fastest growing market in the world is aviation, general aviation. Right. And tier 2, tier 3 cities in India have a lot of money. You need to have that vision of doing something brilliant in this market, not just opening a website and saying that I do charters, which a lot of young boys do. I've said, this is not the way you do charters. Trust me, this is a very sensitive business.
I love what you said in one of your other podcasts, where you said, today it's not the kings and the queens, but it's the princes and the princes. So it's the second gen. It's the children of the industrialists and the children of celebrities who are now looking at charter in a way.
They are non-forgiving. They want the best. It doesn't matter how much you charge them.
Right.
If they trust you, they want the best. They're very particular about everything. So normally kings and queens are very sophisticated. They are like soft-spoken. Prince and princess are high-headed. Like they have got everything on their silver platter. So they want the best, right? They want something X that the other person hasn't got. Right. That puts a lot of pressure on us, but fair enough. But then at the same time, we do only what is possible. Right. I will not break any rules to make you happy.
Yeah.
Right. If I know that the weather is not fine, I'll not fly. If I know that this is not allowed at say airport, I know. Sometimes I tell my client, and I'm being very straightforward. Sir, listen, though you want to depart at 2:30, I'll prefer you come at 2:15 and take off beforehand, because you never know, the airport might tell us that, listen, you can't go now. What will you do then? 15 minutes. So we do everything which is practically possible,
right,
and which will make your life simpler and not just to make you happy.
I love that.
Yeah.
What about security concerns from the perspective of how do you know that an aircraft will not be misused by a bad character in some form? So how does one do due diligence on that side?
Well, it has never happened with us till date, and of course, bad guys will not come. They will not come and fly. They know it, because it's a very focus area. Everybody has eye on the manifesto whose people are flying.
Right.
So they don't. But then there are companies in India who owns private planes, and when we reach out to them to take their planes, they'll ask who are the people who are flying. So it's not that they give go ahead to everybody who flies in the plane.
Right.
So the chairman
they will
office
do background checks and all
yes,
that.
They do that thing. They do that.
Yeah.
And that is their policy. But not that those people are just maybe 3% or 4% of the entire market.
Like there was a rumor, I'm not sure if there was a rumor or not, but a lot of people said that during times when there were certain crackdowns on certain industries, it could have been pan masala, gutka, or could have been demonetization. So I was told like people actually loaded up aircrafts with cash, and they were shipping it to Dubai and things like that. Did those kind of things actually happen back in the day as well?
Well, I think we have to believe, or we have to go by what the agency has reported. I'm no one to comment on that.
Right.
I'm no one to even validate that. I think the agencies would know better to what extent it's right. Something happened in Dibrugarh also. I remember something happened in Hyderabad also. So I think the agency knows better than it happened or not.
But I'm sure there will be checks, right? I mean, even if it's like, let's say from an airfield, if someone's taking off, there must be some kind of checks that would happen, right? Like you can't just load up an aircraft with 500 crores of cash and and take it to another place and land it.
See, all the airports have got security, right?
Yeah.
Airfields which are unmanned, you don't have. So if you go to unmanned, which is like in mid of a jungle, there's an airstrip. There's no, only we have fire brigade, ambulance and police to man that airfield.
Right.
But in my experience, I have not come across something like this because, or rather nobody has reached out to me to do some kind of a shitty business like this, which I'm not interested in, right? I'm a huge law-abiding citizen of India, right? But there are people, I'm sure, they would be doing something like this, or they might be think, because if you can ask this question, if you would have heard this rumor, but कहते धुआं वहीं पर होता है जहाँ पे आग होती है, तो शायद हुआ होगा ऐसा कुछ. I'm sure.
No smoke without fire. Yeah. So yes, of course. Okay, last thought, and that just comes to my mind because China versus India, and I'm sure China, just by virtue of them being about 20-25 years ahead of us in terms of aspiration and wealth and everything else as well. What are the trends in Chinese aviation? Because that, to my mind, and I'm talking about again in the private charter space and ownership space, because I think that'll probably be a good benchmark of where India is going to be also in a bit. What's happening in China in terms of ownership, infrastructure?
I heard this story. I was reading it somewhere. I don't know. Partially remember that once some Chinese government, some Chinese official went to US for some study and stuff like that, and they came back and they did not buy those American products. They developed it. Now today China is developing their own private jets and their own planes.
Right.
Are we? No. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I need to speak any further on this. Wherein China it's like they are going. I mean, the kind of scientific innovation that they're doing is mind-boggling.
Right.
Look at Bitcoins, where it is getting mining majorly. It's China.
Yeah.
Right? Look at the kind of thing they're doing in renewable energy. Massive. They're building something like a 2 kilometer long, some they're going to extract sun rays and going to power the entire city or something like this.
Right.
I mean, where is innovation in a country? We think and then we get dangled in the policies and in the sarkari things, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Prime Minister speak about Viksit Bharat. He talks about a lot of things which are like very optimistic.
Yeah.
My question is very simple. At the ground level, what is happening in actuality? Ease of business. Today we have to go for so many things like, where is ease of business? Go to Dubai. Every founder today, you find that a couple of my friends, I called them recently for one event. I said, "You're coming?" Well, boss, we have shifted to Dubai. I said, "Huh? Why?" And I have no plans of coming back to India. I felt bad. A lot of my friends today are shifting to US, not to US, I would say, but majorly to US, majorly to Dubai. Why? It's just 2.5 hours from here. What is that they are doing?
Tax purposes.
Tax purpose. It's very, same China. Look at the best of the watches. Look at the best of the bags. Stuff like that. Where are getting manufactured? China. Are they more talented than us? No. Right. It's just that the government tell us, do it. They're working on innovation side. I think we are only talking in public forum, in press media and making huge, whatever, mammoth screens, whatever still. I think it's not Gyan, but I would say, if you were to ask me this question, so recently I told you earlier that I went ahead and took this first step of developing Jharkhand as a startup hub. Right. I said I don't have to go to ministers and stuff like that. I spent money, got people, and the good people who will come with you. I called all my investors friends. I said, listen, I'm doing this event, please come. And somebody came from Dehradun, drove down from Dehradun all the way for this 2 hours of event. Nice. So kahin to main अच्छा कर रहा हूं. That's the reason why people are joining us. Agreed. So I'm not bothered about, though government has to play a very huge role, but then I think I can't wait for them to take steps and then this will happen. I think your intention has to be clear. So till the time your intention is not clear, you're not going to even compete with China. Rest be assured. Yeah.
And you're right. And I think, there's a lot that, is lacking in terms of infrastructure and intent. But, who really knows, right? You mentioned, manufacturing of aircrafts. I mean, today, of course, India has started manufacturing, at least in defense. Maybe in 15, 20 years, we'll get on to the, where we are now competing with
HL was not even shortlisted. HL did not even get a contract. I was less surprised.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see. So I think, in the end, we can only be hopeful. I know you wear the India label pin on your jacket. I wear it on my jacket all the time. And, and the point truly is that I think, we're in a great place at a great time. And I think the future of the country and, the aviation business definitely sounds, great on paper, and hopefully, like I said, translate into, reality as well.
Right.
And I think there are, regulatory bottlenecks, and you spoke about ease of business, etc. Hopefully all of that will happen too.
Yeah. We can only hope right now, but time is running out. That's a serious thing.
What's your advice now to, final question, what's your advice to people who are looking to, fly private, get into, this experience? What's your advice, to people who are still on the fence, sitting, thinking we should get in and do something? What is
just jump and fly. Trust me, you fly. I mean, don't sit on the fence because time is running out. Right. And this time will never come back. Number one. Number two, the kind of business whatever kind of business you are into, whatever maybe the size, if you are even planning once, just take a plunge, just once. And trust me, and I keep telling people that if you want to fly, right, don't fly to one sector, fly to 3-4 sectors, maybe in a day or two. Right. See what value addition is doing to a business. Love it. And when you come back, you'll have a great smile on your face. Just listen, I was missing out. And only you will kick yourself and say, boss, listen, I need to charter more and I need to maybe have your own private jet tomorrow. Don't think. It's not time to think. It's time to just do it. Just do it.
Right. Take 10x action. Yep. Yeah, love that. I mean, like I said, we could go on for so much longer, but let's keep, the next episode for when we shoot it on the plane now, because there's so much more that comes to mind, but like I said, we'll keep that for another time. I did promise you the goodie bag. So yes, we do have a whole bunch of, goodies, for you.
Thank you, Gaurav.
So there's, of course, when you're all about luxury, so you have to have, the Shantanu Nikhil luxury pen. So, that's something.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
Or you can take it back to, Ajoka and give that to her as well. The tie, of course, the Shantanu Nikhil luxury tie.
Wow. That's something that's very interesting. That's better than Karan Johar's, I guess.
Yeah, I told you, right? You obviously have to have a souvenir from the podcast. So we have, the Next Chapter GB mug.
Lovely. That's very sweet. That's very
your way.
That's very sweet. Oops, sorry. That's very sweet.
And of course, I know you've been GBA alumni in the past, but we also did create the
Yeah.
scaling with GB, gold planner. So for all the expansion and everything else
I
that you
love
want
the
to do.
color, that green and
So,
black color.
so
Yeah.
that's coming your way, as well.
Thank you.
And lastly, of course, all the guests that we've had, on the podcast till date, and when the second edition comes
Okay.
out, you'll be on this as well. So we call it the Power Players, and it's a
Okay.
pack of podcast cards. So all the
Oh,
people who've been on the podcast, from the Deep
very
Kalras
interesting.
and the Nikita Luthas and the Palka Rinpoche and all of those. So all of their stories and journeys are captured on these.
That's
So
the most
once you're
interesting thing I have come across. And
most welcome.
that makes the consortium get even more interesting. I mean, I never had a chance to come here, but I think I need to spend some more time here.
For sure.
Possibly.
So thank you so much for making
Thank you so much,
it.
Gaurav.
And it
Pleasure.
was an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, Santosh Sharma, Book My Jet. I mean, you might be booking movie tickets on Book My Show, but now it's time to get on to Book My Jet and book some aircraft, seats for yourself. Take, your girlfriend, boyfriend, parents, children, take them to someplace exotic. You could do it for less than or maybe in about a lakh of rupees, like Santosh mentioned as well. Great stuff happening in this space. Take some of that money and use it to enjoy it. I think that was really my big takeaway. And I'm very, very bullish about what's happening in this space and wishing you guys all the best.
Thank you
So
so
very
much. Thank you so much, Gaurav. God bless you.